So it is such a pleasure to see you, Sarah. I am just so honored that we took an amazing mastermind class together and got to know each other. I'm super excited about your journey to Oprah Chen. And so, I'm totally going to throw in some fun in this because I can't be all serious. You know that.
I know that, and I love that.
There you go. So with that, we're going to talk about Crystallize because you were able to come to the Create the Blueprint Vision Board Experience in January. And so I want to talk a little bit about, that process. But before we do, Sarah, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Mariko. And of course, I mirror that compliment back to you. Such a pleasure to be with you and just to get to know you as a friend and really add you to the list of kick-ass women that I so love and just want to support in any way that I can. My name is Sarah Chen. I'm the co-founder and managing partner of the $1 Billion Fund for Women, now also called Beyond the Billion. So in essence, I'm a venture capitalist and strategist. The $1 Billion Fund for Women essentially is a global consortium of venture capital funds and limited partner investors that have pledged and are actively deploying over $1 billion towards female-founded companies in venture capital. And the whole goal here and what's become my personal mission is to really close the gender venture funding gap, where women, unfortunately, till today, only get 2.2% of venture capital funding. And even if you include, any gender diversity in the in the founding team, that's 10 to 12%. And that's a sad reality because there's so much innovation that we're just missing out by not investing into diversity, not investing into women, and just overlooking a lot of the founders that we're continuing to see on the ground here. And I've moved here it's been 3 years in the United States, so still relatively fresh into this country with so much happening in the last couple of years, and of course a pandemic year as well, but coming originally from Malaysia. So I'm excited to really reset it in some way because I had a whole change of my life plan, didn't see myself necessarily in the United States, just as I think, at the peak of what would be my career, hopefully a lot more peaks than this, but so really went to Mariko to help me to rethink the next decade of my life.
Yeah, I love that you do decade boards, and I feel like you're very unique in that, but I love it. I think it's awesome. All right, so when you came to create the vision vision board experience, tell us about this decade and what you really wanted to focus on, because your work in terms of funding, females, which is just so powerful and so important right now. I know that's a big pillar of the work that you do. I mean, you're just so dope. Forbes 30 under 30s. I mean, the list keeps, going on. But tell us about this decade board that you put together and how I pushed you to dream as big as possible. And what did that look like for you?
Yeah, well, Mariko, you pick on something that was pretty important in my last decade board, which was to get on the list of Forbes 30 under 30, however shallow that might seem. It was something for me, coming from a small developing country that is Malaysia, and not really seeing the patterns of success of, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they don't look like you and I. So having that sort of recognition of being on Forbes 30 or 30 under 30 was important for me. That was definitely in my last decade. And, that was an important shift because the big question then now is, okay, so most of the things on that decade board has been achieved. And I thought, I sort of shaped my whole life around all of these things. And then now it's like, okay, what next, right? Because if you think about the 20s to 30s, it's getting married, it's all these big life changes that you would typically think about when you were younger, but you don't necessarily think about what next after that. So it was a pretty reflective year for me with you actually, and with the women that we were with in Mastermind, in terms of, okay, what does the next chapter look like? And for me, it was very much about what is the legacy that I'm going to be living and how do I build upon all the good work that I've worked so hard in the last decade, right? And even as a young person figuring life out, I still feel I'm figuring out adulthood even in this day and age. But it's what's next. And for me, it was how do I think big? Right? I know I have what it takes because I've proven it in the last decade. How do I then shift to do even bigger and really make the full use of this one life that I have and everything that I've already built, from the network, the connections, the capital, and the platform that I've created. So this next chapter, when you asked me a lot of the questions, it was, okay, if I thought about it in this way, how do I scale that, right? What will it take for me to scale my vision and to do that in a meaningful way to create the most impact, not just for myself, because I think this chapter, right, the last chapter was, okay, making sure I have the credentials, credibility, blah, 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 to feel confident. And I think this whole confidence conversation is a whole other conversation altogether. But in your 20s and towards your 30s, you are building yourself, so there's a lot of focus on the self. And now it's about how do I use what I've built for myself to impact the larger community that I serve, in the work that I do, in the mission that I do. So I have my vision board right here, and I'm happy to share it. But it's
at
really
the end, I do want you to share it. I want you to share before we close. Okay, you're gonna share it now. That's perfect. Look at this. Oh, I love it. So time is next. Okay, and then Forbes again. Okay, got it. All right.
Well, this is Forbes Midas list now. So this is a different version. And I mean, the people here are Bill Gates, Warren.
I have no doubt. You're a woman on a mission, as your board says. So I literally have no doubt, Sarah Chen. Yeah. I'm just here for the ride. Invite me to the culture parties. I'm here for all of it. Okay. I'm so here for it all. Love it, love it, love it. So I'm glad you pulled that out. That's super exciting. I want to talk about how you take that big dream, right? So we're talking like a decade. And one of the things, as you may remember, I talked about writing down goals and then action steps to reach those goals that align with that vision. So can you talk to me about how you are actually taking some practical steps towards, manifesting that vision in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I'm looking over here because what I did is, I don't know if you can see it, but this part is actually the vision board. The Post-its. It says, how will I get there? Yes. How will I get there?
That's right.
And it is leverage and network, build depth and skills, persistence, build influence. So I have, and the reason I use Post-its is because you know what you know. And then over time, because I realized this with myself, every year you learn something new and you're like, okay, maybe I need to approach this goal in a different way. And then I changed the Post-it out. So that's really how I've done it. I think year on year, and you know this about me, that's why I gravitated towards you, because you're like, oh yes, goals driven. Hell yeah, I've been setting goals since I was 7, very Asian of me, but my parents sort of instilled that in myself, and I have sort of metrics for myself. So every year, if I start with the big goal, say for example, I'll pick one, for example, the David Rubenstein show. I really like David Rubenstein, who started the Carlyle group, and
I just had him this week with one of my groups. He was our speaker.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. He was awesome.
One of my idols,
to interrupt, but David Rubenstein is dope. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's closer to us in the DC area as well, and he built Carlyle to what it is today, and with his co-founders, of course. But really, he's got on at I believe 60 to have a show where he interviews his peers, and I thought that was a great idea, because then in the work of venture capital, private equity investments, we really meet interesting people, and I've had my share as well, although in a very compressed and small time compared to him, of course. But still, you're meeting innovators that are shaping our future. And I just thought, wow, the conversations, and I've always been a curious person, and just the learning that I have in these conversations were so powerful for me. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, so many other people need to hear these closed door conversations. And that's why I started the show, The $1 Billion Moves. And this was something I launched, as you know, Mariko, in the last couple of weeks. But it really started with the end vision of, okay, I want to be a version of Oprah and David Rubenstein, because my work really, highlights some of the great founders, funders, some of them underestimated, a lot of them overlooked, and we need to amplify these voices. And there's some great stories happening across the world where I'm coming from, in Southeast Asia and in Asia. And I want to really bring that to the forefront of, hey, this is what's happening around the globe. And I took that vision, something that I stuck on my board here, and laid out the plan of, okay, what will it take? And I don't have a background in content or really TV media beyond, I did start out in media as a TV host when I was a kid, but, not doing the behind the scenes, which, as you know, doing the work you are doing now, there's so much that goes into the planning, the scripting, the content to get it to the level that you want. But I then took that as an example of really breaking down what does it take from a content perspective. Who are the guests? What do I need in terms of the technical support to get me to where I am, so that I'm spending the best time on the right things, right? So my talent on the best things and not wasting my time, which could be better spent otherwise in the process. So that's just an example, right? Something that I see for the next decade. I'm really just starting out, but I got started this year because of you, because you said, just do it, right? And it was scary as hell, because I still feel, in some extent, being here only for the last 3 years, I'm still building. I still am an unknown entity to many, and I need to build the brand. I need to build the relationships, and it starts from there. But putting that vision into paper of how will I get there?
Wow. I am loving all of that. And what I actually heard was, so you've crystallized your vision by putting together your board, but you have customized your vision as well. And so you said, I want to have something like David Rubenstein. I want to put something together where I am interviewing, my industry. And then it sounds like you actually started to cultivate that. Everything you just did, you assessed it. You said, what do I need in order to actually put this production together? And then it sounds like it's all in curation, because I know that I've actually participated in some of those. So you literally, since January, have already launched. So you set your intention and boom, it's actually manifested already. And that's just one thing that you had on that decade board of yours. So that's amazing. I did not realize, and I'm happy to know that, in our event in January, you set an intention and you've actually already started to manifest this. So congratulations on that. That it brings so much joy to my heart.
Yeah, Mariko, one other tip that I learned is because I don't know, maybe I have a huge ego or I don't like to let people down, but what I do to help me with accountability is I tell people. So, I tell you, hey, I'm going to launch this thing. And then, I get to a stage where sometimes it's like, okay, I procrastinate out of fear for 2 days. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, but I told Mariko, so I have to do it.
That's right.
So whatever happens, right. I do it. And that helps me so much. And, that's one of my biggest tips. If you want to do something, announce it. I mean, I put it on my LinkedIn, which is something that I had to get out of my fear mindset of being judged and whatever. Even at this stage, I still have those demons within me. But once you have it as part of your business card, part of your identity, you can't run away from it. And that's helpful to hold you accountable. It definitely has been helpful for me.
That's exactly right. I agree wholeheartedly. When you put it out in the atmosphere and when you start to speak it, it becomes true. So I love that. And I'm glad that you did that. And, I'm going to come after you when you tell me you're going to do something. I'm going to say, where is that? Sarah, didn't you say, Sarah, I'm looking for the program you said that you were going to finish up. I've hit Eliza up. I'm like, Eliza, where's the book? Where's the ring? Because I love it. And so I'm going to hold the vision for her. So this was awesome. Thank you, Sarah. I actually want to be respectful of time. So I said 9:30 to 10. It is Sunday morning. And so with that, I just thank you for everything that you gave us this morning, because you truly blessed us, not just with your story, but your inspiration, your discipline and dedication toward manifesting your dreams. And so I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariko, for your gift to me of holding me accountable.
Oh, anytime. All right, pool party. My house is the pool party, they said. The girls are having a party here, and I'm all for it. So
great.
All right, see you soon.